is pretty upsetting. I will say that. As someone who has had mentally abusive parents, and my goal is to not come on here and put my parents on blast or anything like that. Not to like, just in a way to relate to it. Like I make music on the side, so like that's super fun. And it's a hobby I've always had since I was 13. And every time I got upset, or, anytime I go to my room, my dad would always say something slick to me, like, oh, you're gonna go write a song about it? Just like little slick shit like that, right? But to tell your own son that you provide no value to the household and then calling the police on him, obviously that's a lot. As someone who has had mentally abusive parents, it's easy to understand what he's going through. But I do want to say, if you can get out of an abusive child to parent relationship, if you could do it on your own means, you absolutely should do as quick as you absolutely can. I did not have that luxury. Like I said, as someone who has had abusive parents, like I totally understand. But the main message of this is it is extremely, extremely important to hold value in relationships when they are not your family. There are people out there who love you and care about you more than your family ever could. And it's very, very important to cherish those relationships that you have. And I know this to be fact because I would not be where I am in life without those relationships in my life. Be open to when something like this happens. When people tell you this is bad, look into it, understand that it is bad. Because we talk about toxic relationships all the time, just like as like man to woman, woman to woman, man to man, like as like a spousal relationship. We don't really talk about it too much as parent to child. We don't see that as much. That's not as mainstream. But then to the point of you wonder why a lot of kids who are a little bit older now have gone no contact with your parents, and it's stuff like this. We just don't get to see it. Now, when I used to tell my friends about how much my parents were bad, they used to be like, well, there's two sides to every story, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know, we only know your side. But then when they met my parents, they kind of understood. That's when it all clicked for them and was like, damn, that's really unfortunate. So I've been no contact with my parents for, I think, since 2021. At least my dad. My mom longer. At least there's somebody there for him. I didn't have shit when it happened to me. Then one afternoon I left to go to work. It's like February, like the dead of winter, like one of the coldest Februaries we've had out here in a minute that year. I went to go put in the garage code, and my dad had changed the garage code. And he changed the front door knob while I was gone. In the dead of winter, by the way. And at the time, my best friend at the time couldn't handle my lifestyle change. As I started to shift away from that friend group into my new friend group, which is my friend group now for the last like 10-ish years. But even then, I was still being ushered into my new friend group, so they weren't my family yet. So I didn't have nobody. It is extremely hard when you have to go through something like this on your own because you do not know how to handle it. You do not have the mental capacity to do it alone. I don't care how strong you are. I thought it'd be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, and it was not. I understand what he's going through. Very complicated stuff. All right, have a good day, everybody. Tell somebody you love them, and make sure they say it back.